Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. We're doing a John Paul Jones album, Zooma, which is an interesting one. So yeah, John Paul Jones, 1999, so 19 years after Led Zeppelin, John Paul Jones goes DGM. That's what it is. It's on DGM and it's very much a DGM style, DGM of the time styled release, which is brilliant. And it is, you know, the stereotypical in a sense in that it's bass player, multi-instrumentalist music. So, you know, if you know he's the bass player, you didn't know he was the bass player, you listen to this and think, yeah, he's the bass player. Which is interesting, whether he considers himself a bass player or not, or is just an instrumentalist, you know, but he's definitely on this. He's a bass player, writing bass riffs, lots of bass, and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, it's really surprising. In fact, it almost makes you reevaluate Led Zeppelin a little bit.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Because
the actual craft on here is remarkable. It's really, really sort of proggy. It's really, really proggy. It's really interesting. It does the sectional stuff really, really well, where it's got sort of like a little bit of bass and then it changes to something else.
Yeah.
And it keeps refreshing, and you know, it's just cool. I like how they got like the Led Zeppelin symbol in the background there.
Yeah, got his symbol. 19 years to get a proper solo album now. It's a long time. He's not someone to be mega active, sort of. I mean, technically though, his first proper solo album, I think it was 1985. He did a soundtrack album for a film called Scream for Help. Michael Winner again, of course, because Jimmy Page had done Death Wish 2, which is very good. That's recommended. That one's important. I thought we weren't going to review that one, but that one's important because he can write songs. That's a songs one, and it was quite surprising, and it wasn't very un-Zeppelin and a lot softer. So you know, this album doesn't suggest he can't write songs. He can only write the bass part or anything like that. This is quite clearly, you know, a natural thing that he did. Maybe even, you know, he was just messing around and came up with these things and thought, "Ooh, okay, better record that. That's an album." Maybe, you know, because it's very natural. You could argue, you know, maybe it sounds like it could have been made into songs, but that would have taken something away from it if he turned it into songs. You know, this is just jamming on some riffs. Really, you know, nice structured pieces. You know, he did do loads of other session stuff. I mean, Automatic for the People. He was the producer, but he was quite involved, and he did all the string arrangements and all that kind of stuff. That's REM, by the way. I mean, you know, normally we do 3 albums, don't we? And there's only 2 of these, so we're only going to do 2. And I did think about doing the Diamond de Gallus album he did in like 94 or something like that. But it's hilarious. It's really good. But there's no way we could take it seriously. It's, you know, John Paul Jones plays some bass riff, and she's going, yes, hello, and now I'm talking over it like this. It's brilliant. It's brilliant, but it's also... It's just too silly. I thought, no, we're not going to take it seriously, let's not review that. He has become more active around the time of the Led Zeppelin reunion. I don't know, maybe it was slightly before that, so I don't know whether you can blame that, but I mean, he did Them Crooked Vultures, the thing with Dave Grohl, and the bloke from Queens of the Stone Age, which is good as well. But normally, yeah, these huge gaps between activity, which is so strange for someone so obviously really talented.
Yeah. It's a real shame for... You get the sense from this is a real shame for John Paul Jones, because Page and Plant went and often did their thing and their tour, and John Paul Jones wasn't involved, which was probably more to make it not Led Zeppelin than anything else.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
which that's not deserved at all. You know, the guy is obviously a great musician. He was a big part of Led Zeppelin, and that as you listen to the Led Zeppelin albums, and that's the first thing we did, wasn't it? The Led Zeppelin run.
Yeah.
As you listen to it, you realise what a big part John Paul Jones is, although he's not.
It's not explicit. Yeah.
And this just underlines that a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And it sort of makes that whole Page and Plant tour seem a little bit unfair, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really though, it was Plant wanted Jimmy Page in his band, which is essentially what it was. So you know, he didn't want Led Zeppelin to do it. He just wanted Jimmy Page in his band, which is a slightly different thing, obviously. But yeah, you go back and you realise just how key he was to the whole thing and the sound of Led Zeppelin and all of that. You take that away, you've got Page and Plant, and it isn't Led Zeppelin. Definitely, and you know, I mean, just the riffs, very much latter day Zeppelin type riffs, which you would attribute to Jimmy Page, but maybe I don't know. Some of those he wrote, some of those didn't. We know he didn't get writing credit for all the things he did. We know that he contributed quite a few things to, Achilles' Last Stand, Jimmy Page's magnum opus. Big part of that was the bass part, which was completely John Paul Jones, using an 8-string bass. And you hear that here, and everything's creative. There's nothing. There's one track which is obvious. Bass and drums is what it says it is. It's not as interesting as you think. It is just some bass and drums. But okay, you get to hear him jam, playing the bass with some drums. But everything else is so creative and interesting sounds and different instruments. The obligatory acoustic track. There's only one acoustic track. Maybe you would expect more acoustic. I don't know, but obviously it's not the style of this music. This is heavy riffs. You could argue a couple of the riffs. I mean, a lot of them are just Stormbringer again, but that's what it is, and that's a good thing. Very much DGM, proggy sounding, avant-garde solo. So even if the riff is just pentatonic, straightforward stuff. There's lead stuff going on, which is completely out there, wild noises. Trey Gunn is on one track doing his thing. Obviously, he wasn't free to be around for the tour, and he actually took a stick player, a Chapman stick player, on tour, and it wasn't Tony Levin or Trey Gunn because they were busy, obviously. But it's interesting. There's someone else who actually plays the stick, and then you think, well, surely Tony Levin must be on this album. It's a Tony Levin type thing. It's DGM, but of course it's John Paul Jones, so you wouldn't have Tony Levin on it. It's John Paul Jones is already there. So, very much that kind of thing. There's a lot of great DGM releases, which we can do. Mr. McFall's Chamber is really cool. Bill Nelson did some stuff on DGM as well. All sorts of stuff from the early days. They went through a transformation, a sort of financial transformation, where they realised financially they had to be a bit more mainstream, sadly. So these really obscure acts they were signing really stopped happening. But early DGM, there's some wonderful releases, and this is, well, I suppose it's the gem in the pile, really. Very crimsony, riffy and awesome.
A nice, surprising thing, really, because although we love John Paul Jones and Led Zeppelin and all that, you don't expect to find this.
No.
Yeah. Someone happens across this, you're like, oh, that's good.
Not. It doesn't have a lot of longevity. It's something you put on and really enjoy, and then you put it off, and then you might put it on a while later. It's not something you need to listen to over and over again for months and months. I wouldn't think. It's really good. I think 4X, because of that, because of the longevity thing, it's 4X. Although what it is awesome. Yeah,
I agree with that. It's almost as if, and I suppose this is a lot of the DGM stuff, that if there was someone there who was to take this as raw material and fashion it into something, some kind of awesome, epic album, then it would be the best thing ever.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, which he hasn't done. He's just presented
a bunch of songs. Yeah. I mean, you could imagine if someone turned up with that sort of like at a meeting before, to discuss what a new album's going to be. Mm. So, well, this is what I've got. They'd be like, whoa, blown away, and then they'd go away and turn it into something quite special. Yeah,
and there you go. That is Zooma. So obviously next week we'll be back with The Thunder Thief, which is the other one. There's only one other, sadly. So we'll talk about that next week. See you then.